Okay, let's take a look at this piece by piece. You've got this happening where there's some overlap happening and that texture is not moving with it. Then again, I said, you know, you're not doing the fly through, you're doing a fade, and then that comes in. This is a nice alpha matte. I'm still not convinced on this shape that you're using. You're missing the word comfort. You've got the same text animation as last week without the alpha mattes. Charlie Sheen fades on here, and then Martin Sheen flips over. So you got two different elements happening there. This alpha matte's working great. And then a fade. That's fine. I don't care about the color of the skull. We're looking at the motion tonight. Do you see what's happening here? It's not separated properly. It should be two files. So there is a bottom, it looks. There is a top. So this is parented to that. I don't know what this is. Let's hide that. I don't know why this is breaking through that layer. Okay, I see why now. This is lined up properly. Your shape. Right here, it's on. But if you go to the beginning, it's off. So let's take a look at that rotation. Like that. That's a little bit more on, but I mean, you could select the number and press the up and down arrows to go 1 full degree until you find the exact thing you're looking for. And also, if you look, that bottom jaw is not moving. Like, it doesn't even need to be matted if that's what's going on. Okay, there we go. Now we're in your modes. I'm going to get rid of this alpha matte. Let's hide that. Okay, so you took one piece of artwork and tried to use masks and rotating them instead of separating them. Okay. Your best bet is to separate this properly. Because your rotation was way off on that. So let me undo that. See what I mean? It's like breaking straight through the teeth right down there at the bottom. And again, we talked about coming up with a more interesting way of bringing in the skull. Just watch it with this full rotation. It's breaking completely through there. Or you could use that element to transition from here to the next scene. Or bring in the fire to go between the scenes. Let's turn on title safe. All right, everything's inside the title safe. Good. Okay, so, you know, watch this. Think of how it's coming in, how it's going, the transition from this scene to that scene. Because right now I got a whole lot of empty frames there where nothing's happening. That's almost 1 full second of nothing in a 14-second animation. So you really should rethink that. Not sold on this. But, you know, good job with the alpha mats. See something. Where's that Charlie Sheen layer? Or Martin Sheen? We'll go there. Okay, so I opened up. I double-clicked to look at the artwork. I'm going to duplicate this, Command D. And then... Okay, you already made that solid, so it won't work for that, so I'll hit undo. Now let's take a look at the Charlie Sheen one. So I'm going to duplicate this layer and hold down Alt or Option, put the photo over top of it. Okay, so that's not lining up. All right. I just want to try something out here, show you something. I'll line it up roughly. I'm not going to sit around here and waste everyone's time trying to make it perfect. Okay, so with this, we could try a blending mode to add a little bit more interest back in with that alpha mat. So that's one thing you could try. Overlay worked pretty good. That one doesn't work so well. Looks like overlay's the winner. And so I'm just showing you what happens when we do a blending mode. And then what would happen if we brought down the opacity a little bit. Okay, we'll keep that like that. And let's try duplicate the fire, put it over top, use that as an alpha mat. Now we're back here, and let's try a blending mode with the fire. Oh, okay, so let's cancel that. We'll just delete that. But you see how just adding in that image over top, you've still got everything going and something more interesting happening. There's always ways of pushing that like that. All right, so yeah, just some things to think about. And, you know, rethink this element. Just seems a bit random. It doesn't really join up with anything. But, all right. So, good job with your alpha mats. Okay, there's another file called Dragon Vector Parts 2. That's what we're missing. Like I said, it's right there. Dragon Vector Parts 2. That's the one we're missing with the legs. The rest of it looks like it's fairly joined together. Okay, now right there, the eyes are looking good. So it must have just been the one comp that you're in, and then you animated them here, though. Oh, your fire came out pretty nice. And that's going to reveal that. Okay, got it. Yeah, and then just rethink about what your background's going to be. You know, I know you're talking about having trees and like skies and whatever. I like your close up there. I think there's a little bit of too much dead space between that. Because you got like 419 and then 511. There's almost 1 second of dead space. So you could have, once he leaves, chop these layers, you know, using Alt and then the bracket, and then slide the other ones down, because I think your thing is long enough. Yeah, it's close enough to it. So it's coming along nicely. Like I said, you're going to need to find this piece of artwork, Dragon Vector Parts 2. So again, that's the file you got to find. And when you're working, you're going to need Dragon Vector Update, Vector, Vector New, and then you got to find Dragon Vector Parts 2. Have all those in the same folder as your After Effects file, and it will work. This found 100 files of your missing 187. The other 87 are in this Illustrator file, so you just got to figure out where that is on your machine. But it's coming along very nicely. Like I said, just watch this extra second of space you got there. I really like the color you have with your fire. Let me put it at full res. See, that's gorgeous. That came out very nice. So great job. Can't wait to see the finished look of that. And I hope you find that missing piece of artwork. And I did see your little image showing what that font's supposed to look like. So I know what it's supposed to look like, and I know I don't have it, but you know, as long as it works on your end, that's the important part. Right now, let's look at it in real time. The film dissolve you did on the photo, I like that a lot. I like the new way you brought this up and the way that's entering with the negative space. I think that's a gradient. That's a gradient wipe right there. Used very nicely. Good job. It'd be cool if there's some stuff moving there, or you cheated this with a zoom in with an adjustment layer if you got time for that. Great job having some motion on the dress. It's very subtle. Like, even if there's just something swinging back there, it really adds some depth. Love the gradient wipe there. And the way you brought all that in, that's very nice. This is looking really sharp. So, phenomenal work, Isabella. See, he has the wrong art file as well. It's right here. Okay, so it always pays to look at what the folder that got imported is called. That's the fastest way of finding your Illustrator files that are missing. And there we have it. This is the sound effect. I see that. Looks like everything else is here. So let's give it a watch. See what I'm going to do this one at full res. No problem, Peter. Well, okay, so actually, since you're here, while this is rendering, what happened was the artwork that you used was in another week's folder. They weren't all together. So I just selected all of your Illustrator artwork and threw it into one folder. That relinked everything. And the fast way of finding that, like I said, I just picked a layer, right-clicked, reveal, show layer and project, and this tells me the name of the After Effects. I mean, this is the name of the Illustrator file that came in. So there it is right there. Matches up perfectly. It's a lot like working with print, whereas if you don't have all your artwork, it won't link up. I see you got the cord detached working. Watch that one more time. Just watch that your mask doesn't go too far at the end, because you're losing a little bit of that, but it's looking great. I think this solution worked out pretty easily and was the best way of doing that. Let me see the chat. Well, in space, you know, the gravity, it wouldn't drag down. Yeah, that's an easy fix, but everything else looks great. I love the art style. I love your use of the camera lens blur and the gradient to get that. It's a really sharp piece. Great use of positive, negative space, limited palette. Just watch how the title's coming on. You might want to do something a little bit more intricate than the fade on. You know what? We got a little bit of time. I'll show you a fast, easy way of doing that. Okay, so here's where that comes on, and it should be up longer, so it should really come up sooner. So let's take a look at that layer. Okay, so here we've got your text, and it's clear of the astronaut. We can even have it fade on a little bit like this. So instead of a fade, let's kick this up a notch. So I'm in my switches. You can get there by going switches and modes. These are your modes. These are your switches. So I'm going to 3D enable that layer. Okay. Next, I'm going to add a light. I'll do a spotlight. We're going to want a big feather on it. Let's do a wide cone. Fall off. We'll do inverse squared. And then we'll see what the radius is going to be. Definitely want cast shadows. Now watch this. You ready? See the cone angle? We can animate that. Set it to 0. Now it looks like it's coming from the depths of space. You got a little bit more of a sophisticated looking animation on, plus you're adding some more depth into that. Looks like you've also got an empty text layer. Now, so I like this light reveal. That's up to you. You just got to watch out for it going over the astronaut's foot. That's a fast, easy fix. Descend it below the foot. And then you magically add more depth. Ta-da! Now, let's push it one more thing further, just because we got a little extra time tonight. Yeah, exactly. It's like a radial spotlight, and we're using the shading. You could adjust it however you want. Like, if you want to change those settings, you saw I started off with a wide cone, and then I just, I went from 0 to what covers the text to the amount you want. That's all up to you as the designer. Cone feather, that's when you can get the hard and soft. I like it with that shading, add some depth. Now let's take a look at these other settings. See how, if you want, you can add to that or subtract from that. That was just the radius. Fall off distance would be how far the light's going to fall off from the shadow. You could even change your shadow darkness if you wanted. If I went lower than that, let's do 50. That'd brighten it up. I'm just gonna stick with whatever it was. I think it was 100. Now, you could also give it color if you want. Like such. You know, that's all up to you. Then you'd have to increase the intensity. Or you could do like a sci-fi color. Like a blue-green. Know what I mean? That's all up to you as the designer. And lastly, let's try one thing here. I normally don't like people using preset animations, but small, simple one might help this pop to tie in with your motion. I'll show you what I mean. I'll go to Animation Presets Text. I think it's under Organic. I want like a bobbing looking one. Nope. We'll try Quiver. That ain't bad. And it just adds a little bit of life to the text. I'll show you what I mean when it pops on. See, each letter's independently drifting about, and it reiterates what the astronaut's doing. So that's just one way to add a little bit more life to it. I don't like that color that I chose. Cool down, that's much better. So, you know, just showing you how instead of doing a fade, that radial spotlight expansion adds some depth, adds some interest, it's unexpected, fits in with the space theme, adds some shading, adds some depth, and that little bit of color adds some extra contrast and pop. And then throwing like that quiver effect on the type, that was just, you know, animation presets, text, organic. There's a ton of them to try out. I just did quiver because I wanted some minor bobbing up and down. And that should be coming into play right here, yeah. Or we could try, instead of the radial thing expanding, we could change the distance. That would really pop. That'd all be under Transform. So if we move the light to a spot where it can't be seen, let's see what this looks like. That's a little too similar. I'm going to try further back, see what that looks like. It looks a little bit like a fade on, but we're getting that fall off of color as well. So either or, you know, works. Or you could try a combination of both, where you do the distance plus the cone feather. Wait, it was a cone feather or cone angle? I think it was cone angle. Yep. Like such. So that's just some stuff to consider. Looking great. Can't wait to see the final result. Yeah, so I'll see everyone at the crit Thursday in Zoom, not on YouTube. The crit will be on Zoom, and I think it's going to be 6:30 to 8:30. If we get done early, we get done early. Make sure you have all your final work to me, the actual final render, by 6 p.m. that evening. And if you need a refresher on how to render, I'll do that real quick. I'll do a quick animation here, and of course mine will render faster because it's a simple animation. First, make sure your render bars are covering the amount that you want them to be. So like if you have an extra long composition and you want it to end sooner, drag the render bar to where you want it to end. Make sure it begins where you want it to begin. And make sure you have the comp selected that you want to render. That's also important. So what we're going to do is we're going to go composition, add to render queue, click on the word lossless, change this from AVI to QuickTime, then hit OK, name it, and make sure you know where it's going. I'm going to put mine on the desktop, save, and then hit the render button. Now, while this is rendering, I'm going to open up Adobe Media Encoder, and we're going to use this to convert and compress the MOV file to an H.264 once it's rendered. Media Encoder opens up, click the plus button right here in the queue, and we know that's on the desktop, and I called it Render 1. It's right there. Hit open. And then this should default to the last settings that were used. But you're going to want to make sure it's H.264. You can always click the arrow to change it. H.264, that's where you change it if you need to. High bit rate, again, you click the arrow to change it if you need to. And lastly, click here for what you're going to name it. Like that, where it's going to go. Make sure you know where it's going. And then the last step is you just hit the little green play button. This will compress your file. H.264 will play on a Mac and a PC. And it'll just be faster and easier to upload and preview. So I just select it, hit the backspace to delete it. I can quit out of there. And I'm going to select this in my render queue, hit backspace to delete it, and then just click the X right there to quit out of my render queue. And that's it. So make sure you got your stuff in Google Drive. By 6 p.m. Thursday, the crit will be in Zoom from 6:30 to 8:30. I hope to see everyone in the class there. Thank you very much, and have a great night. I'll see you all Thursday. Reach out to me if you have any final questions.